So Dublin, the last 16 minutes of their game against Monaghan, which finished 1-15 apiece, incredibly impressive in that last 16 minutes to win by 1-7 to a point in that period. Are you going to focus on that, the fact that they came back, the Kevin McManus goal, all the points that followed on? Or are you going to focus on the fact that they went so far behind, 9 points behind against Monaghan in their home turf? Of course, there was a lot of changes for Dublin. New guys are getting their chance. They have injuries. Key player Kevin Cluxton isn't in goal, or Stephen Cluxton isn't in goals. So things are obviously going to change for Dublin in terms of like what their output will be in late August or even early September, as it was last year, trying to win in All Ireland. But I think it's worth focusing on that goal that Conor McManus got after 40 seconds of the game, because the way Monaghan were able to move the ball from their own goals all the way up to the other end of the field was very untypical of Dublin, and something that I think Desi Farrell will probably be looking to hammer home in his team, their analysis team as well. Be like, it's all about that tackle count, the KPIs that you always hear about. A horrendously, horribly boring word that or acronym that KPIs is, but that is what is focused on by teams and what they talk about before they go down. That, lads, we can't control if we kick every ball over the bar, but we can control our work rate. So just starting off with that first image there, you can see that the ball is just about to be transferred to Rory Beggan, who's inside his own 6-yard box. There's no one pushing up on Beggan straight away, which is probably not that unusual. At times you more or less want to cover what his options are going to be, but he's very comfortable carrying the ball out the field. What I think really stood out was that the pressure on Beggan was, like, fair enough, that wasn't great, but neither was the pressure on anyone out the field. So you can see there's 6 Dublin attackers, if we can call them that, in that part of the field. Don't think anybody is necessarily hearing to the next man or the next option for the ball. I don't think Beggan's under massive pressure. But as you can see, Beggan had kicked the ball out to the midfield. It was kind of hand passed around a little bit. And at this stage, there are a number of Dublin players around the midfield. I've kind of highlighted John Small there, who's let his man go to do a 1-2 of hand passes before the ball via that blue line is kicked in towards McManus. But you can see there in the shot, including up there inside between the 65 and 45, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Dublin guys in shot there, and nobody is within an ass's roar of the ball. So then we'll move on. So the ball gets kicked, uncontested kick, down the field, in past Owen Merchant, who's the sweeper. And people would often give out about a sweeper and say, he needs to get closer to the ball and what have you. But if Conor McManus is kind of standing in behind his man, who's Michael Fitzsimons in this case, who's the man on the 21 there, if McManus is able to have a look at where Merchant is and run away from where he is, and Merchant has to try and look in front of him to see where the ball is coming from, behind to see where one of the best attackers in the game is going, I think he's banked to rights there, and there's very little he can do. And Michael Fitzsimons is beaten by a brilliant ball that skids lovely for McManus, and he of course turns and kicks the ball into the ground, into the net. Beautiful finish. Whether he 100% meant to stab the ball into the ground so it bounces over the keeper is another thing. But the main point that I'm driving to here is the fact that Monaghan could move the ball from one end of the field to the other with very little bit. They didn't basically lay a glove on Monaghan throughout that period. So is that something that's a concern for this Dublin team under Desi Farrell? Is it a sign of how things might possibly slip? Or even in the first year, it probably takes some time to get your feet under the table as a new manager. Or is this a case of, I've highlighted one incident where Dublin were caught cold early on in the game, they've made some changes, and things are going to be obviously take a little bit of a dip before they get the full team back. So am I making a mountain out of a molehill, or is it a fair point that this is a sign that maybe there are some weaknesses developing in Dublin, but this is a Dublin team that did score 1-7 in the last 16 minutes to turn this game around when no one thought they could?